Well, Nigel, how are you today?
Well, doing really well, thank you, Colin. And how many podcasts have we done so far? I've lost count.
This is Pat, is our number 18.
Number 18.
It's
Wow.
special number. And so the idea is we release one of these each week. And as always, if you like it, please hit the subscribe button down the bottom or give us a thumbs up or whatever. But today we're very lucky. We're talking to Pat, who the little I know of his career, well, I probably know quite a lot actually. North Sea oil man. I know that bit of it. I know running IT at Richmond and all sorts of other things. You know, you've had ups and downs. You've had some fairly tough times, but you're there. You're toughing it out, and now you're doing probably almost more than any of us.
So good afternoon, Pat.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
And how are you in tip-top form today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Glad you're in fine form, Pat, and Colin always is. So, we'll crack on with it, as we say. Can I start by asking, what did you do before retiring?
As Colin was saying, I suppose it depends how far back you want to go. My first degree was in geology, and I ended up working, I have to correct Colin, not North Sea oil, anywhere but the North Sea. Didn't like it, it was too cold, so preferred the warmth. Did quite a bit of time in Africa, in Gabon, Angola, and a little bit of a trip in Egypt and a time in Madagascar. So very much there. But oil prices did the very opposite to what they're doing at the moment. They absolutely plummeted and ended up being made redundant just after my first child was born. Retrained, used to be a good old thing called TOPS courses, retrained into IT. I was using technology on the rigs, so it seemed to be a natural thing. And yes, as Colin said, ended up eventually at the London Borough of Richmond for a while. Quite a while actually.
Oh, wow.
And joined them the week before the storms in
Well,
'87.
I just wonder if you ever crossed swords, because Nigel, you were always falling out with the council.
I had some tremendous battles. I was at the Richmond Hill and Richmond Gate hotels.
Oh, yes.
During that time, I had some terrible fights. I don't think we ever fell out with the IT department, but just about certainly with the planning department.
I had enough of people falling out with me internally. I didn't need the punters as well. But no, it was an interesting time. The technology was fairly new. Lots going on. But yeah, planning are not known for their understanding. Is that the word I'm looking for?
So we were certainly a mile apart for many, many years, I think.
Yes.
So, what did you do after Richmond?
Well, I was involved with the outsourcing of the IT department of Richmond, which I didn't particularly agree with, and I ended up sort of ticking boxes on contract management, which I didn't like. But then I moved to Bracknell to head up their IT department for quite a few years, and they gave me the grand title of CIO, their Chief Information Officer. But basically, again, it was running IT for what was, in fairness, actually a relatively small local authority, but very interesting, lots of good stuff going on. They were quite technology savvy. And in fact, interestingly, the debate with the government been having a couple of years ago about smart cards and ID cards. Bracknell had one of those for a long time. In fact, we offered it to the government, but they weren't interested at the time. But never mind, such is life. We move on. So yeah, got to about 2017, I guess, and they the opportunity of early retirement. So I thought that sounds good, and I was quite lucky. And as part of the deal, they offered to fund a master's degree for me at Royal Holloway. I'd started in my professional career to get very interested in the information security side of it. So left them early 2018, twiddled my thumbs for a little bit while waiting for the new academic year to start in the September. But in the meantime, with all of that, I'd become involved with City Livery, WCIT, Worshipful Company of Information Technologists, and getting engaged with them, and also started to get involved with a thing we call Friends Against Scams, which is a national trading standards initiative which had started about 13 years ago when they realized there was a need to protect and inform, at that time, the elderly from frauds and scams. And the idea was you went out and you talked to groups and inform them about the latest things and try and empower them to deal with the criminals. So I'd started doing that already. And with WCIT, they also had well, still have, and I was still involved a lot with it, with their security panel. So that sort of kept me busy while I was waiting for the course to start. So yeah, it was an interesting time. I suppose I sort of retired twice. That was the first time. And having got through the master's degree, and I was a bit worried actually when I went into it because of the hang on, your brain is 60 odd years old.
Yeah.
You had enough trouble when you were 18 and 19 keeping up with what was going on at uni. Although I've got a feeling maybe I didn't pay as much attention first time round. But second time round, it was thoroughly enjoyable. And I would recommend that sort of education, further education, involvement with that sort of thing to anybody who's got a mind for it. And I haven't got involved with the University of
Yes.
the Third Age yet, but that's something I need to get involved with. So yeah, I managed to do that. Finish that course in
Yeah.
it would have been the June. Managed to come out with
No,
a
I
bit of
didn't do
distinction.
that.
But it was great fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I was the old grey bloke in the class. I have to say.
Yeah.
I suppose if I was in Parliament, I'd be called
Father.
the leader
Yeah.
of the house,
So
father of the house,
what was the
father of the
average
house.
age
I
of
was
everyone
father of
else?
the lecture theatre. There you go. Probably mid-20s. A lot of the people who were on the course had come out of their first degree, and they'd maybe taken a year's break, and they were moving in. It was a real mix actually. We had I thought they were
Yeah.
Russian police, but it was actually I think they were Ukrainian actually. A couple of students from there. The total group was about 60 or 70 students, and it was a real mix. I was doing it in 2 years. Some were doing it over a sort of a 5-year period and dipping in and out. So the groups changed. But no, it was an interesting mix, that's for sure. Yeah, and it definitely kept us on our toes. The project I chose for it was
Oh,
romance scams and the impact on the elderly. Because I was looking at when I'd heard, and one of the reasons I got involved with Friends Against Scams was I heard a statistic which sort of um, worried me, I guess. And it was along the line that goes, it was an Age UK stat, which unfortunately hasn't really changed in 7 or 8 years. And that is the older population, 65 plus, who are defrauded or scammed in their own homes, God forbid, are 2.5 times more likely to end up in care in the following 12
Right.
months than their peers that aren't.
yes.
It's quite a nasty statistic. And I thought, well, that's really quite worrying. There's another part to that stat which I don't normally share when I'm presenting to groups, and that is all pass away in the following 12 months because of the impact. It can be quite severe. So I was thinking, well, actually, hang on, that's quite a big statistic. But what's the impact if it's a romance scam? Is it a double
Sorry,
whammy? Because
never
obviously it's
heard that. It's a
emotional and
romance scam.
financial.
So
Oh,
someone
yes, I have.
trying to marry them or something.
Well, but as I say, it's quite a nasty. But basically, what it is
Mhm.
people that befriend others online, often through dating sites. Unfortunately, the dating site companies aren't as diligent as they could be with verifying who people are. And what the criminals do is try and entice people away from the site, where there is relative safety, and get them on a one-to-one on WhatsApp or Facebook or email. And of course, then they use grooming techniques effectively to try and engage with the person, and they'll very quickly announce their undying love. They use there's a term called love bombing that they use. So they're always contacting them. They may even be sending flowers and gifts and what have you initially, but what they're really after is access to funds. And most recently, well, in fact, not most recently, what happens is, of course, they then engage people they'll be very subtle and mention things like an investment that they've come across or an investment from a friend. Tends to be cryptocurrency, and they then start to get people to invest small amounts. Often in the early stages, they'll see a return on your investment, seems really good. And of course, then the temptation is to put all your money into one place, and then it all goes cold and it all goes quiet. So, as I
Mm.
say, really a nasty crime, and it does affect the older population a lot more. If you're younger, you've still got time to earn and recoup your money. If you're elderly, of course, unfortunately, you haven't. I got involved with Friends Against Scams as a result of hearing that. So I've been doing, going out and talking to groups, WI, Rotary, community groups and the like. And we also attend sort of fairs and things. So summer fairs and things like that, we'll go and have a stall there and talk to people. Quite often, we'll share with the local police. It's an odd join up actually. It's Surrey and Bucks share a trading standards service. So sometimes it'll be Surrey Police, sometimes it'll be Thames Valley Police, and we'll liaise with them and do that. So it was quite a nice tie up with what I was mentioning the WCIT before and their security panel, because with that group, I act as the liaison to the City of London Police, and the City of London Police actually lead on fraud. Some big fraud investigations, but definitely on fraud.
Okay.
Intelligence and gathering of fraud intelligence. They used to have it's now called report fraud, thank goodness. It used to be called action fraud. You'd ring them up and there was absolutely no action because what they were doing was gathering information. And they front something called the National Fraud Initiative, National Fraud Investigation Bureau. They pass on information to regional crime teams or National Crime Agency or even local PCSOs, and if they've got enough information, they can go out and try and talk to the victims of these crimes and help and support them through things. Quite a lot going on in that way, and it is more. It's more profitable than drugs these days, and very, very easy. I mean, particularly with the romance scams and those sort of crypto scams. At the moment, the UN estimate there's about 250,000 people who've been trafficked into these centres in the Far East, and they're enforced to carry out the scams. So often there's two victims, one in these prison camps in Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar, and obviously they're being forced to defraud, and they're run by a Chinese criminal gangs. It's a big mess. But things are moving. They are fighting back. Interpol and the police agencies are starting to work more closely together, which has been helpful. It's a big issue. I mean, the government locally are taking it very seriously with things like the Online Safety Act.
And how long have you been doing this good work?
That one, so I started that about the year before I retired. So since about 2017, so 9 years.
Which is incredible. I've never had anybody doing that in retirement, but it's obviously extremely valuable work. So what is the next plan after this, or will you just carry on doing the same?
Well, there's a number of things that sort of link into that. One, yes, I will continue to do that. But one of the things that we're finding is, of course, the criminals never stand still. So what they're doing now is they're pretending to target the younger groups, the younger people, through gaming sites and things like that. So what we're starting to do is go into schools, talk to assemblies. It was a couple of months back now. I was actually talking to a Girl Guide group over in Surrey about gaming. Knew a lot about gaming. Hadn't realised that actually they were vulnerable to frauds and scams. You know, the usual thing. It's exactly the same as grooming. Is that person who purports to be a friend on the other end that's joined in the game? Is that really another 13 or 14-year-old person, or is it a criminal? And of course, with that, they use the gaming to try and entice them in to criminal activity. So in that one, they'll give them freebie credits for the game, etc. And then there's payback for that. And I was surprised at how many young people have access to a bank account. They'll get them to use their bank account for money laundering. So we'll give you credits for the game.
Oh my goodness me!
We'll use your account to pass money through.
What will happen for you in the next 5 years? Will it be more of this work?
Well, yeah, it will be. I mean, with I was just mentioning the linking with City of London Police as well. I think there'd be more going on there. I'm also engaged with a colleague at WCIT who's setting up a new neighbourhood watch. Actually, he's relaunching Neighbourhood Watch in Lambeth, and I'm helping him with the fraud awareness stuff and the link into national trading standards.
Well, when you were working.
Probably was. I probably am actually in one way. I mean, one of the things, although one of the things Colin was saying, sort of tips for other people, I think that I would say is make time for yourself. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at that. So that making sure you have some downtime. Go and read a book for an hour or whatever it is, and decompress or whatever.
Sorry, Pat. So if someone, you're talking to your buddy who says, look, I'm 60 years old, I'm going to retire at the end of the year. Would you recommend doing something as major as you've done? join a big organisation?
Yeah, I possibly. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it in that way, that it was so big. But now I suppose I've said it out loud, it's probably doing more than I thought. I think the issue would be to make sure you've got a plan. I was mentioning sort of almost retiring twice. I did the course, the master's course. I was going to set up my own. I was trying to set up my own consultancy, which didn't really take off. So I ended up working for Camden Council as their information security manager for a couple of years. But I'd already had that. I had WCIT. I had Friends Against Scams in train. I had them already there. So when I eventually retired, I knew what I was going to do. I knew I was going to be kept busy. I was busy as I want, because I mean, with both, they're voluntary. So you do as much or as little as you want, really. So yes, I mean, I think that's the important thing, knowing that, you know, you're not just stopping and going, no, hang on, now what we're going to do on Monday morning. That was quite important. Yeah, I mean, as I say, with both of those organisations, there's plenty of things going on that I can tap
So you
into
use
or
your
not
sort of your
as I see,
skills or
as I
your
want to. So
new
I
skills
was
that you learned, you know, at uni when you were 60 to build a new career. I mean, that's really impressive.
well, thank you. It was
Mm.
I had an interest in it. I think I was aware that cyber was becoming thing. Put my finger, put my toe in the water and got involved with that. So yes, so it was, just keeping an eye on the marketplace,
The
I guess, and seeing where
what
the
you're
trends were
doing,
going. I
the
suppose was what it was.
crimes have had a huge amount of publicity, and
Mm.
there's something on television almost every day about it. Just as a side issue, I wonder if you work at all with Nick Stapleton.
No, I mean, it's interesting. I do at a very low level
Oh yeah,
radio broadcast for a local radio station in the Chilterns. And we do, myself and one of the other, we call the Scam Champions, not champion scammers. Myself and Tom sort of take alternate months, and we
Right.
do 15 minutes, half an hour or so about the latest scams for Chiltern Voice Radio. How many listen to it? I ain't
Yeah.
sure. It could be just Tom and his dog. I don't know. But
I
we
mentioned
are
it
trying to
because
sort of get
we
out there
knew
and do
his
a bit more of
parents
that
quite well,
as
John and Lynn. Yes, we were quite friendly with them. Anyway, that's a side issue.
yeah. No, but it's an interesting point. The other people, interestingly,
Oh
are
yes.
locally
Or
based Richmond charities, the Susie Lamplugh Trust, and they also do some things around this as well. It's slightly different, of course, but again, about personal safety and what have you. But a very interesting outfit to. But they used to run out of mum and dad's home over in Richmond, or over in She.
No other plans specifically.
Not really, I don't think. I think the one that is really
I think
interesting
so.
is the moving into schools and the young people. I mean, the only slight problem is this old bloke is 70 who's standing there telling you about Minecraft and Roblox or whatever it's called. Not so sure, but
Well,
maybe it'll get their
but
attention.
I
So
really
we're doing some
think
pilots
what you're
with.
doing is fantastic. And I don't think we've had anybody like Pat before who's got a total commitment to one issue,
Mm.
Colin, have we? Which is really, really extraordinary, brilliant.
But it's interesting because I completely agree, Nigel. But as you say, Pat, in one sense, you're looking at the older people, and the next moment you're looking at the teenagers or the soon to be the smartphone or whatever. So really, it's all
Yeah.
encompassing. What
Yes. Yeah.
you're doing.
And you'll never run out of work.
Unfortunately not, no, we don't. And of course, some
Oh, that's
bloke that roped
shocking.
me into a repair cafe as
That
well, but we
sounds
won't
a
go into that
scam to
one.
me.
This is the worst one you've come across.
Yeah.
Based out of Manila or something.
Oh, yeah, it's not bad. No, I mean, obviously, it's,
Great.
that's really good as well. I mean, I do enjoy the repair cafe and the things that we do over at in Ivy Bridge and what have you.
Very
And
fun. Well, I've
I
really,
think it was
really
good. Good
enjoyed
to do.
listening to you, Pat. I think it's really fantastic what you're doing. Thank you for telling us your story.
And believe me, it will be inspiration.
Sure.
People will listen, and this will make a difference to people who perhaps have not seen a retirement in the way that you're doing it.
This is something new for us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Okay. No, you're more than welcome.
Well, actually,
And if
look,
you want to become a scam
we
champ,
talk
please
afterwards.
join
We'll
in.
put a link at the end. Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. Right. So,
That'd be great.
Nigel,
That'd be great.
are we all done?
Well, Colin, I think we are. I think we are done. And haven't we had a good time today? And haven't we got Colin and I have got the best job in the world? Haven't we? Well, Colin, Pat was very, very interesting, committed, quite extraordinary. It all started off when he retired, in inverted commas, and his company or organization paid for a master's degree over 2 years for him to do. And it was a very good opportunity. And we've heard this once before, a company doing that. But what a good thing. Isn't it a pity that more organizations don't do something like that for their retirees?
Yeah, I completely agree. And then he talked about his Friends Against Scams, as it's called. And that's extraordinary. I mean, talking about the sort of romance scams I'd never heard of and the befriending. And then he says he was working with the police, with Rotary, with WI, with fairs, and now into schools. So, this is a big job.
It is a big job, and that was the next point was that it sounds almost like a full-time job. It's a major job what he's doing, and of course it's all voluntary. And if you didn't know more about him, you'd call it a single issue retirement. But in addition, he does do other bits as well, but this must occupy most of his time.
And from what he says, it's expanding into sort of many other areas and stuff. So,
It is.
I think that's just a great example, really jump into something. And part of it is on the radio.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. And when we asked Pat, what advice would he have for others? It was quite funny. And he saw the irony of it. Make time for yourself and have a plan. And he said words to the effect of, I'm not a very good example of that.
Yeah, I mean that is such a good advice. But he does other things as well. We Repair Cafe and other things. So he's a busy guy, isn't he?
Yes, it was a very good interview. I think very good indeed.
And when you said what next, there was no, oh, I think I'll take it a bit easy. It was just lots of more things he wants to do, which is terrific.
Now, do you have to tell people to press a button now?
Yes, well done, Nigel, well done. Now, there's the bit below on the right-hand side. So subscribe, so please press that and give us some thumbs up, and then we can do lots and lots more of these.
Okay, and we've got another one coming up soon, haven't we?
We're very busy, Nigel.
Oh.
Yeah. So are we done, Nigel?
I think we are done. I think we are. And what do we say?
Say encore and out.
And out. Encore and out. Goodbye.
Bye, Nigel. Bye.